Hi, friends and future authors. This is Lynn Liquidy Smargis with another episode of Publishing for Professionals. We are at episode 30. I can't believe I started this in January and I'm already at episode 30. It's crazy. And this is not the first podcast I have professionally produced for my company, but it's like crazy how fast the episodes go by. And if you are a person that is looking to create your own podcast and you don't know who to turn to, I have several amazing professionals in the field that have been doing it for years. They're not fly-by-night people. They will help you get your podcast launched and off to a great start. So a really quick bit of housekeeping before we jump into today's episode. Just so you know, moving forward, our cadence is going to be every other week instead of every week, just because I am putting out a lot of information. And I'm also developing a really fabulous virtual writing retreat, a membership, and a 14-day writing masterclass, all in the same year. So I'm hoping to get a lot of these wrapped up by the end of summer. The writing retreat will be in September. And because I'm developing all these other things, I don't have the time to do every week right now. It may switch back to every week in the future. But for right now, I'm going to go to every other week until I have these projects and these new things that I'm adding to my repertoire of what I offer for anyone who is looking to write and publish their book and is a professional doing it. So just so you guys know, moving forward, it's going to be every other week. But it's still going to be tons of content. There's lots of back episodes you can also listen to if you've just joined me. And everything is geared towards professionals who don't write for a living, but are looking to write and publish a book to enhance their platform, to be seen as an expert and a thought leader in their space. So this week's topic is going to be the top 4 marketing mistakes professionals make when publishing their book. Now, this is always because typically a lot of professionals, this is the first time they're obviously publishing the book. They've never done self-publishing before. So if you're one of these people and you have made some of these marketing mistakes, don't kick yourself in the butt really hard. Because honestly, my friend, I have made some of these mistakes too when I first started marketing. And honestly, marketing is the one thing people usually typically don't put a lot of time and effort into. And I understand why. It's because when you're writing a book, you have a lot of stuff going on your plate, right? Like you've got like your regular business you're trying to run. And then you have, if you're doing consulting or clients or you're working with corporate, and then you are writing this book on top of it, right? So that doesn't leave a lot of space for other things in your life. And then you've got to do the work-life balance with family and all these other things. And then on top of that, right, now you have writing your book and people are like, phew, I'm done. And it's really hard to keep going with the marketing part, right? So I always suggest to people to hire somebody for your book marketing, and I can make a recommendation for that. I do help people with basic book marketing, but that's not my main thing. I do recommend other people who are book marketing experts to help you with that. Even if you go with their basic package, right? It's really helpful. Or you have a VA help you, whatever it is, get some assistance in book marketing. You're going to need it because it's really hard to market a book properly unless you really have some assistance, whether that's a VA or someone who specializes in book marketing. All right, so let's jump into the topic. But, really quick. Before we do, I wanted to read a client testimonial from one of my amazing. So one of the things one of the elements, I always recommend for people is that they have an author website. Now, I know I recommend it, and I'm the car mechanic on this one, so to speak. I don't have my author website up yet, and that's because I've just been dealing a lot with health issues for the past couple of years, which I finally have resolved, and I'm finally feeling better. I am developing all these other services and products for you guys to help with your publishing journey. So I am going to get my author website up and running probably next year. But one of the things I have helped other people with is their author website. And this review is from Rick Fordyce, who is a wonderful human being. He has a Christian podcast or a Christian blog that he puts out. Anyway, he recently has published a book, and his review was, Lynn assisted me with setting up my author website. She did a great job not only setting it up, but also teaching me how to manage it. I would highly recommend Lynn to anybody who is looking to build and publish an author website and get it up and running. So Rick, thank you so much for that. That is one of the kind of side offerings that I do. I don't do that a lot, and I typically do it for clients. So, but I will do it just independently. So if you're looking for an author website, let's talk and jump on my website, writeforyou.me, and hit me up on my contact form. Okay, now we'll jump into the topic for today, which is the top 4 marketing mistakes professional authors make. Now, again, if you've made one of these, don't kick yourself in the butt really hard, because these are so common, right? And we have so many things on our plate that it's really hard to do all the things all the time. I mean, even I don't, and I'm a professional. So, but keep these in mind so that if there's one on here, you see like, oh, I know I can avoid that one, just make sure to avoid it. Okay, but I did want to do this episode because I want you to avoid any of the pitfalls that can cost you unnecessary time and money. Okay, so there's a difference in the investment in writing, editing, and building your platform, right? That's good money spent. But if you're making mistakes and spending money, right, we don't want to waste our money on things that are not pushing us forward, right? When we invest our money in things and in activities and tasks and different elements of our business we're trying to build, that moves us forward. So we want to make sure we're always doing things to move the needle forward, and making mistakes constantly will not do that. So this is the focus. Today's episode is the most damaging marketing mistakes professional authors make and how to avoid them. Or should I say professionals make when becoming an author. And this matters because obviously, but like I said before, it wastes time, marketing, dollars, and effort. And while you are the brilliant thought leader and your expertise, right, a lot of people just struggle with marketing in general. And that's not a big deal, because that's one of the really biggest pain points of, getting yourself out there and promoting yourself. There's a lot of different reasons people don't like to or don't want to do that. But that's a whole nother episode. So today we're just going to talk about a cleared roadmap to avoid these costly pitfalls. So mistake number 1, waiting until your publication to start marketing. This is one of the things I recently advised my client on. And she said, when should I start marketing? And I said, you can start marketing now, even though we don't have your book published. And ideally, you want to start marketing 3 to 4 months ahead of time. Typically, what people do is when their book publishes, they start marketing. But what I tell people is, once you have your rough draft done, start marketing your book, because you can market for 3 to 4 or 5 months and really build up that platform, that excitement about your book, no matter if it's nonfiction or fiction. Okay. So the field of dreams fallacy, it's not going to be, you're going to build it and they're going to come. An author who you can be an author and launch with 0 audience. Okay. So you don't have to wait to have an audience to start your social platforms. Just start them and start marketing on them and start putting out content, because you have to put out content to get an audience, and it's not going to happen overnight. Even like if you have a platform already built, that's fantastic, because you already have a built-in social, whatever it is, Substack, YouTube, your website, your blog, marketing platform. But if you don't wait, just start. And what I always recommend is to try to have the same handle for everything. So like for me, it's Write For You Ghostwriting, or it's under my brand Publishing for Professionals. So you'll see a lot of my links are either one of those 2, and I keep it to those 2 to make it simple. So you can use your first and last name. That's always a really easy one to put on any platform, because that will also, I typically recommend for people to use their first and last name for their author website. If you have a really common first and last name, you can also add your middle name in there, or you can add something to the end of it as well. Like I could say Lynn Smargis author. 90-day minimum pre-launch timeline. Okay, so 90 days out, you want to announce the book and start building anticipation. 60 days or 2 months out, begin sharing behind the scenes content. What I usually recommend to my clients is that take paragraphs of your book, right, and read them on lives or read them on videos, post them on your socials, and start telling people, hey, if you want more information, make sure you get on my email list so you know when the first thing is dropping, or subscribe so you know when I'm publishing and dropping my book. And that's really helpful because it gives people a little blurb into what your book is about. And it doesn't have to be perfect, right? You can summarize it, and your book doesn't have to be grammar edited and perfect for you to do this. You just need a rough draft of your book, which is really helpful. So don't worry about making mistakes, right? Just get out there and do it. Okay, begin sharing behind the scenes content. 60 days out, then 30 days out, ramp up your promotional activities and secure launch support. So you could be looking at Amazon ads. There's many different things to look at. And again, I'm not the book marketing expert, but there are a lot of different things you can do to ramp up your promotional activities. You can do newsletter swaps. You can do podcast interviews. If you're going to do that, I would highly recommend a podcast platform called Podmatch. Sign up for the Podmatch platform. That's like $35 a month. And you get to pitch podcasters on coming on their show. And you can do that ahead of time before you publish your book. Okay. Launch day, activate your warmed up audience and say, hey, you can now buy my book. All right. Building an audience before you need them. So this is really important. Like I said, I just recommended a client do this. Email list building strategies. So one of the things you want to do is have an email list, right? Email list by far is the most effective marketing material. Even though there's social and everything else, I get more response from my email list than anything else that I post on, except for Substack. Substack, I get responses on too. So, but the point is that you need an email list, and I always recommend Kit or ConvertKit, as they used to be called. And there's a free plan that you can get, one landing page and an email list, and that's enough to start you off. So you want a landing page, which is basically, you've seen them. There's pop-up forms that say, hey, join our email list, and you can say, hey, subscribe now to find out all the details on when my book is dropping, so you can be one of the first people to buy it if you want to do a special price or however you want to market it. But you do need that email list. I always recommend ConvertKit. It's easy to use. They give you a free subscription price. And then once you get past whatever the 1,000 or 1,500 subscribers, it's $49 a month. Or if you want to build out your email list and tag people and have other features, it's $49 a month, I think it is. So, and I have the paid version because I like to do a more thorough marketing campaign. So social media content that creates book anticipation. So you can take your book, and what I always recommend to people is take the content in your book and then just rewrite it for social, make little social blurbs out of it. That's really easy to do because you already have the content written. You can't take social blurbs and create book content. Okay. So one of my clients tried to do that, and I kept telling her, this doesn't work. Okay. Social blurbs are social blurbs, right? There's little sound bites. You can't take sound bites and make them into a book, but you can take your book content and make them into sound bites. So that's really easy to do by breaking it down. And I always recommend to people, keep your work on a document or in Google Drive. I keep all my stuff in Drive and very well organized, so I can go back and my VA can pull it and post it for me, or however that's going to work for you. Okay. So make sure you keep it organized and in a place you know where it's at. Okay. Networking and relationship building with your target readers. Okay. Goodreads is a great platform to do this on. Speaking opportunities that introduce your upcoming book. So if you have speaking opportunities, whether they're virtual or in person, that is also helpful if your book isn't published, or if you're working on publishing your book, or if it's already published. Okay. So if you have early marketing, the more marketing you do, obviously it's going to compound the effect, and you can really make your marketing work for you, because more people that know about your book, the more people that are going to share it, and more of those people are going to share your book to other people, and so on and so forth. All right, let's go on to mistake number 2. Focusing only on book sales instead of business goals. Now, this is a big one. And one of the things I always tell my clients is, and my ghostwriting clients specifically, is if you're ghostwriting a book, what is the purpose of your book? Okay. So the purpose of your book is to make $1 million. That's most likely not going to happen. It can happen. I'm not saying it doesn't, but unless you're an A-lister and you have an insane following, it's really hard to make millions of dollars off your book. Now, can your book be a nice residual side income? Yes, it can. Can it pay for some of your marketing efforts and or repay the book itself if you've paid for ghostwriting or book editing? Yes, it can. But you also need to put effort into that marketing. And this is where this comes in. All right. So even though you have book sales, You can also focus on business goals, right? So even if your book sales aren't doing what you want them to do, and I don't know anybody's book sales that have done that, that's really rare because we all want more than we're getting, right? So, but understanding different success metrics other than book sales are like thought leadership. Okay. Did you get media mentions or speaking invitations or industry recognition because you've published your book? That's really important. Business development. How about, did you get any new client inquiries or consultation requests or partnership opportunities because of your book? And if you're a speaker, having a book is really great to help you get event bookings, keynote fees, bureau representation, and also for your business, again, consulting growth, such as premium pricing justification and referral quality improvement. So you're getting better leads from your book because they've already read it, right? And your book is such a great lead magnet for your business. So you have to take that into consideration, is that if people read your book and they call you, they're already a warm lead, right? This is not a cold lead. This is not a prospect. This is a warm lead who understands your business perspective and what you service and who you service. And they are calling you because they want to work with you. And that's really important. Okay, so the professional author's ROI calculation is direct revenue, book sales, royalties, licensing. Okay, indirect revenue, speaking fees, consulting contracts, course sales, and other things, right? Intangible value. And this is really important because it's very hard to measure intangible value. Your credibility, your authority, your door opening opportunities. I mean, when I tell people I'm a 4X author, some people don't know what that means. And that's okay. But what it does mean is that I have published 4 books, and that gives me credibility, like personally, right? That doesn't count like the dozen or so books I've helped other clients with. And that's just in ghostwriting. And then I have book editing, and then I have consultations and all these other things I've helped people with their book. So you need to take that into consideration as well. All right, how to track business impact beyond book sales. Okay, so you have their CRM systems for tracking book generated leads, which you can use, attribution methods for new business, and measuring speaking fee increases and opportunity quality, right? So how much were you getting paid for your speaking before your book came out? And what is the percent increase you're getting paid for your speaking after your book came out? So you want to set up measurement systems before launch. Of course, you can set them up after launch, but it's going to be harder. And have your VA do that if they can do that. That is a really fabulous thing for your VA to do. Just set up like even just a simple Google Sheets, right? You don't need an actual CRM if you don't want one or you don't want to pay for one. Use a Google Sheet. I use Google Sheets for lots of things, and they're great. All right, my friends, we are going to take a quick break right here. But when we come back, when we come back, we are going to talk about more on the book marketing mistakes you want to avoid. So hang tight, and we'll be back in just a minute. Hi, this is Lynn Liquidity Smart, just back with another, the second half of the top 4 book marketing mistakes busy professionals make. So make sure if you are listening to this that you definitely want to hop on my website, writeforyou.me, or you can click on the show notes below, whether you're on YouTube or a audio podcast listening device, and sign up for my free virtual writers workshop. I'm super excited to offer this. It's in September, but sign up soon because there is limited amount of attendees that can attend the workshop, and it's going to be great. So not only is it a virtual writing workshop, and this is meant specifically for busy professionals who are writing their book and need assistance. So we're going to be writing our books, but not only writing our books. I'm going to have a Q&A session, and I'm going to have a networking session. And this is all free for anyone who's listening to this podcast on YouTube or audio players. So definitely sign up. It's going to be in the show notes below, or you can go to writeforyou.me and click on the events page. Okay, so let's jump into the second half. So mistake number 3 is trying to be everywhere on social media. Now, there is a caveat to this, and this is what I tell everyone, okay? So it's hard to manage multiple platforms, but what you can do is and this is what I do, right? You can post on a lot of platforms. Like I post on Facebook, on YouTube, on Substack, on Instagram, there's a couple other ones I post on, Blue Sky and something else. However, there's only certain platforms I'm really active on. So I'm active on YouTube, I'm active on Substack, and I'm active on Blue Sky. So those are the places I'm going and responding to people, because those are also the places I get a lot of comments and a lot of activity. So you can post everywhere, and there's no problem with posting on YouTube. And if you're not active on it, right? But you want to be active on the 2 or 3 platforms and respond to people, and make sure you respond to people. This is not something I suggest handing off to your VA, because you're not going to remember if somebody says, "Hey, I love your response on blah, blah, blah," and your VA did it and you don't know what it is. Okay. That's just unprofessional. So make sure that you are responding, right? I have my VA posts, but then I respond to all the things, and I create the post for her, and she just pulls it out, a Google Doc, and posts it for me. And so that's really great. So make sure that you keep that in mind, that you can post everywhere, but don't try to be on all the platforms all the time, responding to everyone. Okay. So choose a couple platforms to try out. And what I like to do is, I post it on all of them. And then I look at every 2 or 3 months, I look at what platforms are performing the best and where I'm getting the best response from. And that's how I found out that Substack and YouTube are my 2 platforms I'm getting the best response from. So what I do is I make sure I focus my marketing efforts on those 2 platforms, and that I'm on that, and I'm responding to people, and I'm interacting with people on those 2. So is that what I started out with? No, I actually started out with thinking I was going to get a lot on Instagram and another channel, and that did not happen. So I was like, well, heck, if I'm not getting a lot on there, then I'm going to change up my process and make sure I have a lot, I'm interacting on the platforms that people are on the most, and that are not just on the most, but are interacting with me. LinkedIn's another one I'm very active on. So if you are a B2B professional and you work with executives and other B2B people, LinkedIn is a great channel. Twitter, also known as X, is good for thought leaders and industry commentators, although the platform's not really great lately, so I don't do anything on Twitter. YouTube is good for speakers and educators and anybody that's doing how-to kind of thing. And Instagram is good for visual storytellers and lifestyle experts. Okay. You want to match your platform to your audience and strengths. So surveying your network about their platform preferences, or just going on and seeing what your stats are. Okay. And you can always ask people, what do you want to see on this platform, and test it out and see what topics are doing better on what platforms. And I found a lot of interesting things out about my marketing data from that. For instance, on YouTube, this is my first podcast that I am getting more watches and views on YouTube than I am on an audio player. So typically I get more downloads and watches on an audio player. For this one, it's flipped, and I don't know why. I'm guessing there's just more professionals on YouTube looking for help, but I'm not sure why. And the demographic for this podcast, as opposed to all the other podcasts I've had, is completely flipped. Instead of being 80-20 women, this is 80-20 more males watching this podcast and listening to it than females. And I'm not sure exactly why, but I know that's the stat. So I know that's my avatar that I am appealing to. All right. What type of content do you create, and what type of content is getting the most views, right? So focus on that type of content. Okay. So make sure you're consistent. So what I do is I make sure I have Mondays are my content creation days, where I get all the things out and posted and uploaded. And then the rest of the week goes and I also have a couple people on my team that help me with the content, right? Because it's really hard to do all the content all on your own, but I make a lot of the content, and then my team helps post it on all the places it needs to be, including podcasts, audio, and YouTube. All right, mistake number 4, getting up too quickly when your initial sales are slow. Now, this happens a lot, right? Like, again, unless you're an A-lister, your initial sales are going to just start creeping up. But, or if you've done a lot of book marketing, you may get an explosion at first. Like my first book I published was actually the best book I've sold so far. And I sold 300 copies in the first week, and then it got really slow. So again, right, just look at your numbers, but don't give up quickly. Okay. And doing this long-term really helps to build up your book success. There is definitely not a lot of overnight bestsellers. Most successful books build momentum slowly. And keep in mind there is a book life cycle. Okay. So your book life cycle might be 3 months. It might be a year. It might be 2 years. It just depends. There's a lot of factors. And one of them is what genre is your book in? And is it nonfiction or fiction? And also like who's your avatar and how passionate they are about your subject and how niche your subject is. All right. Book marketing is a professional long game. All right. So make sure you're using evergreen marketing tools, not one-time products. You can repurpose your book marketing content. You don't have to use or remake and do new content all the time. Okay. Professional books gain credibility over time, and you get the compounding effect when you're doing consistent marketing promotion. Okay, word of mouth marketing timeline. So let's go over some timelines. Is about 6 to 18 months for organic growth. Speaking engagement is about a year to 2 years, and industry recognition is about a year to 2 years. So keep these in mind. Of course, it all depends on the vertical that you're in as well. But these will over time help you with different things on your platform, right? Help increase your visibility and all that. So, and it does, again, take time and consistency, right? And those are the consistency is really hard to keep up with because you have so many things going on, which is why I always recommend people get a VA and or some assistance with marketing help. All right. So month 1 to 3, you're going to do your initial sales to network to early adopters. Month 4 to 12, basically you want to do organic discovery and referral based growth. And then year 2 plus established credibility and ongoing benefits. All right. During slow periods, you can do content repurposing, evergreen promotion, continuous audience building. Again, Goodreads is really good for that platform for doing continuous audience building, and speaking and media opportunities for visibility. One of the things you can also do, which one of my clients did, is she did put out a PR bulletin to her local news station and got on the local news station about her book, Build a Better Podcast. So that's another thing you can do as well. Okay. All right. So if you have any questions or you would love to talk to me about this, definitely make sure you go to my website, which is www.writeforyou.me, and then sign up for my discovery call. My discovery call is free. It's really easy to get a hold of me. And definitely while you're on my website, hit the events page and sign up for our virtual writing retreat that's coming up this fall. All right. So here is our wrap up, my friends. Remember, these 4 marketing mistakes can really hurt your book, including, well, we're not going to talk about the book editing and poor writing part, but they compound each other's inefficiency. So 3 steps you can take to avoid these traps is start building your audience at least 90 days before publication. If you do it 30 days, that's better than 0. Define and track your professional success metrics beyond just your book sales. Choose a primary platform and commit to consistency and excellence and just consistency in marketing. All right. And remember, you need to be patient because professional book success is a marathon. It's not a sprint. All right. Make sure you have a marketing timeline and template and track your ROI. Your expertise deserves effective marketing. Don't make these mistakes. Or if you do make these mistakes, don't let them derail your passion and excitement for your book. Okay. And so I hope that this has helped you. I hope this has been valuable for you. And remember, again, I just want to invite you to my virtual book retreat. It's complimentary. You can meet other professionals. Go to writeforyou.me and click on the events tab to fill out the form. Until next week, my friends, this is Lynn Aliquity reminding you to keep writing, keep dreaming, and keep creating. Your book is waiting to be born.